Captain Marcus Kane stood on the bridge of the UES Defiance, watching the orbital bombardment of New Geneva through gritted teeth. The Zephyrian Council ships hung in Earth's atmosphere like mechanical vultures, their energy cannons turning entire city blocks into molten glass. 3 years of occupation had led to this moment, and humanity's patience had finally shattered. The rain fell acidic now, burning through the hull plating of abandoned buildings. Lieutenant Commander Victoria Cross approached Kane, her uniform torn from their escape through the underground tunnels. The resistance had been growing for months, but nobody expected the Council to respond with such brutal force to a peaceful protest. Kane's cybernetic left arm whirred as he clenched his fist. The Zephyrians had given him that arm after his real one was vaporized during their initial peaceful negotiations. They called it a gift, a sign of their advanced medical technology. He called it a constant reminder of their lies. The communication array crackled to life. All Terran vessels, this is Admiral Phoenix Volkov aboard the UES Retribution. Operation Prometheus is now active. Repeat, humanity is done begging. Kane smiled grimly. Admiral Volkov had been preparing for this day since the occupation began. While the Council believed they had disarmed humanity, she had been building a fleet in the asteroid belt, using salvaged alien technology and human ingenuity to create something the galaxy had never seen before. Commander Jensen Walsh burst onto the bridge, his breathing heavy from running through the ship's corridors. Captain, the lunar defense platforms are online. The Council never found them because we built them inside the moon itself. The tactical display lit up with red dots as hidden human warships began emerging from their concealment. From behind asteroids, from within planetary rings, from the dark side of moons, humanity's true fleet revealed itself. The UES Vengeance, UES Fury, UES Reckoning, dozens of ships that shouldn't exist according to Council intelligence. Kane opened a channel to the Zephyrian command ship. This is Captain Marcus Kane of the United Earth Space Navy. Your occupation ends today. Withdraw from our system or face the consequences. The alien commander's response came through the translator with typical Council arrogance. Humans cannot threaten us. Your primitive technology is no match for our superiority. Kane looked at Lieutenant Cross, who nodded and activated the ship's new weapon system. The Defiance's hull plates shifted, revealing a massive railgun that had been disguised as a cargo bay, the weapon charged with a sound like thunder rolling across the void. "Let me show you what human primitive technology can do," Kane said, and fired. The railgun projectile, traveling at 30% of light speed, punched through the Council flagship's shields like they were made of paper. The alien ship split. In half, its death scream broadcast across all frequencies. Across the solar system, humanity's hidden fleet opened fire simultaneously. The war for Earth's freedom had begun, and the galaxy would never be the same. Admiral Phoenix Volkov stood in the command center of Titan Base, watching tactical displays that showed the destruction of 3 more Council fleets. Her silver hair was pulled back in a tight bun, and her steel-gray eyes reflected the burning wreckage of alien ships on the screens around her. The Zephyrians had underestimated humanity's capacity for both patience and rage. Colonel Dante Rodriguez, her chief tactical officer, approached with a data pad. "Admiral, the shipyards on Europa and Ganymede are ahead of schedule. We'll have 50 new dreadnoughts by month's end." Volkov nodded, her expression grim. The Council had made a fatal mistake when they allowed humans to work in their industrial facilities. They thought they were using human labor for their own purposes, never realizing that humans were learning, adapting, and preparing. Every day of forced servitude had been a day of gathering intelligence. Captain Isabella Thorne entered the command center, still wearing her boarding suit from the assault on the Council supply depot near Jupiter. Her team had captured an entire convoy of alien weapons and technology. "The plasma cannons are better than we hoped," she reported. "Our engineers are already reverse engineering them for mass production." The holographic display showed Earth, still partially occupied but no longer helpless. Resistance cells, led by Commander Nathan Steele, had begun coordinating with the fleet, providing targeting data for precision strikes. The Council forces on the surface found themselves cut off from reinforcement, surrounded by an increasingly hostile human population. General Marcus Stone's voice crackled through the communication system from Mars Colony. "Phoenix, the Red Planet is secure. Council forces surrendered after we demonstrated our new orbital bombardment capabilities. Turns out they're not so tough when they're on the receiving end." Volkov allowed herself a small smile. Stone had been mining operations supervisor before the war, but he understood logistics and strategy better than most trained military officers. The Council had forced humans to adapt quickly, and adaptation was something humans excelled at. The tactical display suddenly flashed red as new contacts appeared at the edge of the solar system. Captain James Morrison, the fleet's intelligence chief, studied the readings with growing concern. "Admiral, we're detecting massive energy signatures. This looks like a full Council battle fleet, maybe 200 ships." Volkov straightened, her mind already calculating odds and strategies. "How long until they reach Earth?" 72 hours at current velocity." The Admiral turned to address her command staff. "Gentlemen, ladies, the Council has decided to take us seriously. They're sending their first-line military units instead of occupation forces. This is what we've been preparing for." Lieutenant, Commander Rachel Voss, the fleet's youngest ship captain, spoke up from her position at the communications console. "Admiral, I'm receiving transmissions from Proxima Centauri. The human colonies there are reporting Council ships gathering in their system too." Volkov's expression hardened. The Council wasn't just responding to Earth's rebellion, they were moving to crush all human settlements simultaneously. It was exactly the kind of coordinated response she had expected from a species that had conquered dozens of worlds. "Send word to all human colonies," Volkov ordered. "Operation Exodus is now in effect. Every able-bodied human becomes a soldier. Every ship becomes a weapon. Every world becomes a fortress." The command center buzzed with activity as orders went. Out across human space, in the asteroid belt, mining ships began mounting weapons. On Mars, the terraforming stations started producing military equipment instead of atmospheric processors. Throughout the outer planets, research stations transformed into weapons laboratories. Humanity had spent 3 years learning from their conquerors, and now they were ready to graduate to a higher level of warfare. The Council was about to learn why humans had once been their own planet's apex predator. Commander Nathan Steele crouched in the ruins of what used to be London, watching Council patrol ships through his scope. His resistance fighters had been conducting guerrilla operations for months, but now they had support from orbit. The UES Thunderstrike hung in the clouds above, its captain waiting for Steele's signal to begin the bombardment. Captain Rebecca Hayes commanded the Thunderstrike, a ship built in secret using salvaged Council technology and human innovation. Her crew was a mix of former merchant sailors, mining engineers, and anyone else with the courage to fight. They had learned to use the aliens' own weapons against them with devastating effectiveness. The Council had made a critical error in their occupation strategy. They had relied too heavily on their technological superiority, never bothering to understand human psychology. When humans were pushed too far, they didn't just resist, they evolved into something more dangerous than their oppressors could imagine. "General," Marcus Stone's voice crackled through Steele's communicator from the Mars Command Center. "Nathan, the orbital strikes are working. Council ground forces are retreating to their fortified positions. Time to press the advantage." Steele smiled grimly and activated his targeting laser. The beam painted the Council command bunker built into the remains of Big Ben, Above in the clouds, Captain Hayes received the signal, and her ship's main gun spoke with the voice of thunder. The plasma bolt turned the ancient clock tower and the alien fortification within it into a crater of molten metal and stone. Council troops began evacuating their positions across the city, their formation discipline breaking down as human fighters emerged from every shadow and ruin. Lieutenant Sarah Blackwood led her squad through the underground tunnels beneath Westminster, her team armed with captured alien weapons that they had modified for human use. The Council soldiers had better armor and training, but they were fighting in humanity's home territory now, and every human fighter knew these streets like their own heartbeat. Meanwhile, in the void between Earth and Mars, Admiral Phoenix Volkov's fleet prepared for the approaching Council armada. Her flagship, the UES Retribution, had been built using technology reverse-engineered from captured alien vessels, but improved with human engineering principles that the Council couldn't understand. Captain Isabella Thorne commanded the strike frigate UES Vanguard, leading a formation of smaller ships designed for hit-and-run tactics. The Council expected humans to fight like civilized species, following established patterns of space warfare. They were about to learn that humans had their own ideas about how battles should be fought. Commander Jessica Knight, the fleet's chief engineer, had developed a new type of weapon that used quantum entanglement to bypass alien shields entirely. The Council's defensive technology was based on deflecting or absorbing energy, but humanity's new weapons attacked matter at the subatomic level. The first Council scout ships entered the outer solar system, their sensors probing for human defensive positions. They found none in the expected locations. Instead, they found mines disguised as asteroids, hidden weapons platforms that looked like space debris, and hunter-killer drones that had been waiting in cold storage for months. Captain Morrison's intelligence network had mapped every Council ship type, every weapon system, every tactical doctrine. The aliens had made another critical mistake by using human forced labor in their military facilities. Humans had been watching, learning, and planning their revenge for 3 long years. When the main Council fleet finally arrived, they found themselves facing an enemy that fought like no species they had ever encountered. Human ships appeared from impossible angles, using gravitational slings around planets to achieve velocities that should have been impossible. They used the solar system itself as a weapon, turning asteroids into kinetic projectiles and using solar radiation as camouflage. The Battle of Terror had begun, and humanity was fighting for more than just their freedom. They were fighting to prove that the human spirit could not be broken, no matter how advanced their enemies might be. Captain Marcus Kane watched from the bridge of the UES Defiance as the Council's main battle fleet entered Earth's gravity well. The alien ships were magnificent in their alien beauty, all flowing curves and crystalline structures that seemed to bend light around them. They were also about to become the largest collection of space debris in human history. Admiral Volkov's voice came through the fleet communication channel, calm and steady despite the overwhelming odds. All ships, this is Retribution Actual. Execute Plan Ragnarok. Show them what happens when you back humans into a corner. The seemingly empty space around the Council fleet suddenly exploded into activity. Stealth mines that had been drifting like cosmic dust for months activated simultaneously, their nuclear warheads creating brief new stars in the darkness. Council shields flared, and several smaller ships simply vanished in the atomic fire. Captain Rebecca Hayes brought the UES Thunderstrike out of Earth's shadow, her ship's experimental weapon systems charging for the first time in actual combat. The weapon she was about to fire had been theoretical until 3 days ago, a device that could turn a ship's own power core into a weapon against itself. Commander Jessica Knight had called it the Prometheus device, and it worked by sending a targeted electromagnetic pulse that would cause enemy reactors to overload. The Council had never encountered anything like it because no other species had been desperate enough to develop such a weapon. The Council commander, a being called Overlord Zixthan, broadcast on all frequencies in heavily accented English. "Primitive humans, your resistance is futile. Surrender now, and your deaths will be swift." Kane opened a response channel, his voice carrying the weight of 3 years of human suffering. "This is Captain Kane of the United Earth Space Navy. We have a counteroffer. Leave our system now, and maybe some of your ships will make it home to tell the story." The alien commander's laughter sounded like breaking glass through the translator. "You speak boldly for a species that cannot even leave their own star system." Kane smiled, knowing something the alien didn't. "About that, Lieutenant Cross, show our friend what humanity has been up to." The space around Proxima Centauri lit up with the engine flares of human ships. Captain Daniel Cross, Kane's brother, who had been presumed dead for 2 years, commanded a fleet of vessels that had been built in the deep space construction facilities that humans had supposedly abandoned. The Council had been watching Earth so closely that they had missed humanity's expansion into other star systems. While alien attention was focused on the homeworld, humans had been building shipyards around distant stars, using automated mining ships to harvest resources from uninhabited systems. Commander Nathan Steele's voice crackled through from the surface. "All Council ground forces are retreating to their ships. Looks like they're not as confident as they pretended to be." The space battle intensified as more human ships emerged. From concealment, the UES Vengeance, commanded by Captain Lisa Morgan, led a squadron of destroyers in a flanking maneuver that the Council formation couldn't counter. Their rigid tactical doctrines made them predictable, while human flexibility allowed for constant adaptation. General Stone's Mars-based defense platforms opened fire, their weapons enhanced with alien technology that had been captured and improved. The Red Planet had become a fortress world, its entire population unified in the war effort against their former oppressors. The Council fleet began to break formation as human weapons proved more effective than expected. Ships that had seemed invincible were being crippled by weapons that shouldn't have existed. The aliens had made the fatal mistake of underestimating their former slaves. Overlord Zixthan's communications became increasingly desperate as his fleet took catastrophic losses. "This is impossible. Your technology is primitive. How are you doing this?" Admiral Volkov's response was delivered with cold satisfaction. "We learned from you, then we learned to do it better. That's what humans do. We adapt." The tide of battle had turned, and humanity was no longer fighting for survival. They were fighting for victory. 1 year after the Battle of Terra, Admiral Phoenix Volkov stood on the observation deck of the UES Dominion, humanity's first true capital ship. The vessel was massive, built using a combination of human engineering and captured alien technology, but improved beyond anything the Council had ever imagined possible. The ship orbited New Terra, humanity's first colony world beyond the solar system. The planet had been a Council mining facility until Captain Isabella Thorne's Marines liberated it 6 months ago. Now it was home to 3 million humans and the headquarters of the rapidly expanding Terran Colonial Union. Captain Marcus Kane joined her at the viewport, his uniform now bearing the insignia of Rear Admiral, the man who had fired the first shot of humanity's war for independence, had become one of its most celebrated heroes. "The Council delegation has arrived," he reported. "They're requesting permission to board." Volkov nodded, her expression thoughtful. The mighty Galactic Council that had once seemed unstoppable was now begging for a ceasefire. 3 more of their core worlds had fallen to human forces in the past month, and their member species were beginning to question their leadership. Commander Jessica Knight, now the head of Terran Advanced Weapons Development, had outdone herself with the latest generation of human warships. The new vessels could travel faster than anything in the known galaxy, thanks to improvements made to Council FTL technology that the aliens themselves had never thought possible. The Council delegation was led by Mediator Veltar, a tall, graceful being whose species had been among the first to join the Galactic Alliance centuries ago. The alien's translator rendered its speech in perfectly neutral English. Admiral Volkov, the Council wishes to negotiate an end to hostilities. Volkov studied the alien delegation with cold eyes. You mean surrender terms? We prefer to think of it as a rebalancing of galactic power structures. Captain Rebecca Hayes, now commanding the Colonial Defense Fleet, spoke from her position at the tactical display. Our scouts report that 17 more species have declared independence from Council authority. Turns out watching humans kick your collective asses was inspirational to other oppressed worlds. The Mediator's skin color shifted to what the humans had learned indicated distress. The Council offers recognition of human sovereignty over 50 star systems, plus reparations for the occupation of Earth. General Marcus Stone, attending the meeting via hologram from Mars, laughed harshly. 50 systems? We already control 73, and we're taking more every week. Your offer is rejected. Admiral Volkov stepped forward, her presence commanding the room. Here are humanity's terms. Complete withdrawal of all Council forces from human-controlled space. Recognition of the Terran Empire as an equal power. Reparations equal to the total economic damage caused by your occupation. And most importantly, a guarantee that no species will ever again be subjected to the kind of oppression you imposed on us. The Mediator's translator struggled with what seemed to be an emotional response. The Council cannot accept such terms. Our authority, Commander Nathan Steele, now Director of Colonial Security, interrupted with a grim smile. Your authority ended the moment you decided to bomb our cities. Now you're going to learn what it feels like to be on the losing side of an occupation.